Hello, I'm Max McAllister, and welcome to another episode of Cycle with Max. Our topic for today is bike fitting. I'm sure most of you have heard of that if you're an active cyclist and you're into cycling. Bike fitting is the process of having a bicycle adjusted to fit your body. In the very old days before bike fitting had really been studied and researched, it used to be that there was a perceived image of what you were supposed to look like on a bike, and bike fitters would bend people's bodies to fit onto a bike to look a certain way. And they figured out that that was really bad, and they were causing overuse injuries and great discomfort and pain, and people didn't enjoy that. So bike fitting evolved, and luckily now the general concept of fitting a rider to a bike requires moving the bicycle so that it fits your body or any particular anomalies you might have to your body. So bike fitting can range broadly in detail and price. It's kind of easiest to break it. You could call it a basic or a professional bike fit would probably be the easiest way to understand it. A lot of people think, oh, they fit me at my bike shop before I left. So if your local bike shop takes a crack at setting the height of your saddle and maybe flipping your stem upside down or whatever for you and sends you on your way, that's not a bike fit, okay? So you have not been fit to your bike. They basically wanted to make sure you are comfortable enough to ride it, but in no way should you believe that that was a bike fit. Now, a bike fit a basic bike fit, we're going to call not a professional one, but a basic bike fit, some people call it a bike sizing. At that point, the bike fitter might fit you to a saddle and help you select a saddle that fits you. They're going to take time to locate the saddle vertically and forward and backward and adjust the angle so it suits you. And then they're going to help choose, not just flip your stem or move your stem around, they're going to help you choose the correct length and angle of stem to position it to where you're most comfortable. That will tend to be the bulk of what a basic bike fit would include. Now, from there, it can get pretty wild for if you want a full-scale professional bike fit. So that can be a 4 to 8 hour process depending on where you go and who you work with. So it might start with a physical assessment where your fitter will watch you walk. They'll take measurements of the ranges of motion in your body, to figure out limiting factors. Like maybe you're a fit person, but you have neck trouble. So if you can't pull your neck up to look down the road, then you're going to have to be put into a more relaxed position, even though your body might be more flexible. So they'll study any kind of limiting factors like that, or that, not that they're limitations, but range of movement limitations, right, in your body. And then help build a bike around your body that lets you ride comfortably for the longest period of time with the least amount of fatigue, which is, in the end, going to let you go farther, faster. So it's a big misconception that the whole job is to get as low and arrow and down and slam your stem and do this kind of thing to make yourself cut through the wind. But if you're uncomfortable and in pain, there's no way you can perform well on the bike. And so in the end, what your bike looks like is in no way important to what it feels like while you ride it. So particularly if you want to ride longer than an hour. Right? So if you ride an hour, pretty much anybody can put up with anything for an hour, but that's generally not the goal of cycling. We want you to be comfortable on your bike, feel good, enjoy it, and look forward to getting on it the next time, not say, man, I can't take another hour of sitting on that saddle. All right, so in a professional bike fit, again, you'll be fit to your saddle. The saddle will be located vertically, forward and backwards. Your fitter may recommend different length of crank arms depending on your style and the genre and limitations in your body. They may recommend different handlebars altogether, different drop, a different reach. so your handlebars might change, particularly a different width. So as the bicycles come out of the factory, they're kind of designed to fit an average person. So if you have broad shoulders, you might need wider bars. If you have narrow shoulders, you might need narrower bars. So all of that's an element of bike fitting on a professional bike fit that you'd encounter. Then we're going to, again, select stem, length, angle, and position the bars very precisely. And all of it comes together once it's all assembled so that you experience the greatest amount of comfort. You can have the most power and get the most out of your cycling. So, so say I'm a typical cyclist, I'm a beginner or intermediate cyclist, I don't have $1 million. What can I do to get the most bang for my buck? I've narrowed it down to the 3 most important things you can do. Number 1, the most important single thing you can do for riding a bicycle is find the correct saddle that suits your body. Now, great folly happens all the time. Somebody gets on the internet and goes, what's a good saddle? And 200 people say, I use the blankety blank, I use the this, the that. It's a ludicrous question to ask. There's no way that you can take advice. My friend uses the blank saddle, so I bought one. That's ridiculous. Don't do that. You have to, and there's no way to figure this out by yourself unless you have $1 million and you can buy one of 200 saddles, sit on them all, and randomly come across the chance that you might find the one that you like. By going to visit a fitter, the fitters will have a broad range of saddles. They'll let you try them. But the very first thing they're going to do is try and take some sort of measurement of your sit bones. And that's done a lot through, typically there's several companies have a plank with a piece of like closed cell foam on it. You can sit on it. They'll get a general idea of the width of your sit bones. Here's a human pelvis. We're looking for where the bone's going to touch the saddle. All right, so that's kind of a starting point. If you don't know that, it's going to be hard to select a saddle. So based on just feel. So frequently people will be riding very narrow saddles and they're sitting on the soft tissue between their legs and their bones are not actually sitting on a saddle anywhere. They get, their junk goes numb, and so they have all kinds of problems. It's a very famous problem for both men and women. Numbness in your lower nether regions there is bad. If you're experiencing any form of numbness, that's a terrible sign. You need to go get fitted to a saddle right away. So what you're typically looking for, just in a quick statement, you're trying to get your sit bones to sit on the saddle. So if they were off and you're just riding on soft tissue, that's the worst case scenario. So some general measurement. Now that won't necessarily be etched in stone, but it gives the fitter a place to start with a saddle width, and then they're going to find styles, and you may be up or down 1 width or 2 once you get there. But taking the time to select a saddle is the number 1 most important thing you can do to get fit to your bike. After that, it needs to be located properly. So meaning from the pedal down at its longest extension, there's a safe known parameters for your leg to be. I'm not going to go into that. But basically, your leg can't be straight, and you shouldn't be pedaling with your toes stuck down and your legs straight. You should have a gentle bend left in your knee, a very subtle bend, and that's so that you don't hyperextend your knee joint and damage your knee while cycling. And so some of the quick problems, if your saddle's too low and your knee is riding in a crunch position, you'll experience knee pain for sure. And the opposite can happen if your saddle's too high. But typically the sign your saddle's too high is if, when you pedal, as you come by, if your pedal is pulling your pelvis off each side of the bike, it just means your saddle's too high. You should be able to sit comfortably on your saddle, pedal your bike, your pelvis sits still and your spine can be steady. So you don't want to be working your spine and or rubbing your tissues on the bike by rocking them on the saddle. You want your pelvis planted, and that's going to give you the highest level of comfort. Now your fitter will know what that height is, and then the saddle needs to be positioned forward and backwards. That's important so that you get optimal power. And then finally, the angle of the saddle is very important for comfort and numbness in your, again, in your nether regions there. So I find that to be one of the most important adjustments you can make to make a person comfortable is the angle of the tip of your saddle. Always take time to set that and do what it takes. The other thing a bike fitter is going to do that's going to save you a ton of time and a ton of money that you couldn't get to by yourself, they're going to use a tool called a sizing stem. A sizing stem takes the place of your stem and holds your handlebar, and with it the fitter can move the handlebar to any one of a whole mess of sizes of stems. You would have to buy 25 stems and spend days trying to find the one that fits you. And the problem is you can't actually test fast enough to kind of get the real true sensation of what's the best one. With a fitting sizing stem, your fitter can change the angle, location of the stem infinitely, very rapidly, so you can get a clear AB feeling back to back. And then instead of trying to buy 25 stems and changing them one at a time and losing all that money, when you're done, the fitter can read the numbers off of the stem and recommend one single stem that's the correct size, length, angle for your bike, and so that you can put it on and be comfortable. One thing to stress about that, these things need to be done in the order I prescribed. So saddle first, location of saddle next. Big mistake people will make is they never get their saddle properly positioned. So they'll say, my handlebars feel too close. So they'll go buy a longer stem. Or they say, I can't reach, it's too far away, I'm going to go buy a shorter stem. But if your saddle's not in the right location in the first place, you're wasting time and money because you need to, if your handlebars are far away but your seat was too far back, all you do is move, if your seat needed to be moved forward for optimal pedaling efficiency, all of a sudden your stem might be the right length. So they have to be done in that sequence. Don't buy a stem until you've got the right saddle and it's been located properly, and then you go down the road. Now, being comfortably fit to your bike, there is no substitute for it in power and performance. So there's nothing else you can buy. You can buy a $2,000 set of carbon wheels. You can buy an $11,000 professional grade racing bike. And if you're not fit to it, you could be better off on a $500 old steel bike with down tube shifters if you were properly fit to it. So most important to find those fit numbers. Now, once you go to a bike fitter and get fit, a lot of that stuff's going to be good. It'll translate if you ride mountain bikes. A lot of the information is useful. If you change over time, it's good to revisit a fitter once a year or once every couple of years to see as things change. You know, if you become more flexible, like say you take up a yoga practice, or you lose a lot of weight. You know, a lot of people enter cycling. You know, a guy might weigh 250 pounds and, 2 years from now he weighs 175. You know, that guy's going to be fit differently. So you're going to have to go revisit your bike fit when things like that, when big changes happen to you over time. So can't stress it enough, how the importance of bike fit. And so there's several companies you can look up. It's important to kind of find that people are, bike fitting is open to interpretation a lot is all I'm going to say. There's a few companies that are working to make it more scientific and less interpretive. So over time, so right now there's a company called Retool. Retool hitches a bunch of sensors to your body. You pedal, it's actually measuring your body in space and time, and that's the most scientific method I know of. Fitting can be everything from as crude as someone sitting and watching you who has a lot of experience and knows what they're looking at, to basic motion capture tools. So there's some that are out there. A company called BikeFit has a great motion capture tool for fitters to use. And to things like, again, Retool. There is, there's another one. Guru is another fit system. So what you have to do is kind of check your city, check your town, ask your friends in the club who's done their fits, were they happy with the results, and get a little feedback there, and then go find somebody to help you kind of in your backyard. You will want somebody you have access to that'll help you, talk to you, answer your questions. You're likely to see them on a group ride or see them out every so often, or you can get to them for adjustments or ask them questions. So that part you do have to kind of put a little effort into to find the fitter. It's like finding the right doctor that suits you the best. Not every doctor suits every person. Not every fitter will suit every person. And so hopefully that gives you some insight into some of the variables that take place with a bike fit and the importance of it. So this is Max. If you enjoy this video, please share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.